I'm going to show you how we use Photopea to create digital paintings from a reference image. Kind of like this one right here. You can see this is my reference image layer, and if I turn it off, you can see all the painting that I've done. So let's just start from scratch. You're going to have to go to Photopea and start a new project, and this window comes up where you start a new project. And of course, you name it. Do digital painting. And we're gonna use full HD. If your computer's a little bit slower, you can use HD, but you see like the pixels change up at the top. We're going to flip the width and the height so that the width is actually smaller than the height, so it's a vertical composition, and you hit create. Now if you forgot to like flip your composition in the beginning when you first made the document, there is an image, transform, rotate. So you can, again, go image, transform, rotate. This is the Photopea workstation or interface, and you need a reference image. So you can go to Google and get a URL or download an image and then go File and then Open in Place, or if you have the URL, open from a URL and then paste in the URL, hit Current Project so it pastes in as a layer in the current project. But I like to just use Unsplash because there's a little button right here for it. You can like search up words. Let's do portrait and do portrait of a person, and we're going to try to get a colorful one. Doesn't have stuff around the eyes or mouth. I've done this one too many times already. So yeah, let's go with this one. Here we go. All right, so close this by clicking that back in. And we want the face to like fill the composition, so we're going to like enlarge this thing and get like a nice big close portrait. If you just use the move tool and like start adjusting this, you realize that the proportions can get stretched and then they're going to start to look really weird. So I'm going to hit Command Z to undo that. And just when I'm dragging these corners out, I'm just going to hold down Shift, and that's constraining the proportions. So let's try to make it nice and huge. And if you're trying to like zoom out, it's spacebar, the hand tool, and Option. Right, zoom out, and then again holding down Shift while I'm like stretching these handles or these corners. Let's get like a nice big face. Yeah, that looks okay to me. To place it, you hit the arrow button or you just click away, and then that's your reference image. You name it, right? And you don't want it to move, you don't want to paint on it, so you hit this locked icon, and now it doesn't move, it doesn't do anything. I don't think I can really do anything to it. You don't want to paint onto this reference image layer. You want to create a new layer and have all your paintings on a separate layer, like what I did here, new layer. I guess I can delete this background, don't need that. But yeah, new layer happens at the layer panel, layer, new layer. You can do it that way. You can also add a layer down here. Spun does it too. And that's a trash the layer button. Anyways, we're going to name this layer the painting layer, and we are going to paint on it with the brush tool. Where is it? Right here. Okay. B is for brush tool. B is the keyboard shortcut, and then we're going to start sampling colors with the eyedropper tool, which is the keyboard shortcut I. So I'm going to do this the fast way and use these keyboard shortcuts. I have my left hand on I and B like the whole time, because I'm going to like sample a color and then use the brush and paint, and then sample a color, use the brush and paint. First off, I'm gonna like zoom in. So spacebar is the hand plus command, and zoom in. We'll zoom in nice and close, and go back to my brush. Right, and brush settings are up top. You might want to make your brush a little bit bigger. Oop, that might be too big. Pretty good size. You can always like you're gonna have to like adjust the size of your brush to get in like these small detail areas, but for right now I'm just gonna like start with the skin, hit I to sample the color, then right away hit B for brush. I'm painting with that color. Now go back to I, sample the color, B is for brush. I'm gonna paint. It's kind of like splotchy areas. So big areas of skin you can do rather quickly. Like I said, the harder parts are like around the eyes and the mouth, where there's like a lot of small detail that you have to get. I is for sampling a color, B is for brush, and you kind of navigate around your page, sampling colors and brushing in big splotches. It does take a little bit of time, but once you get in the zone, it goes pretty quick. If you're using these keyboard shortcuts, it goes quick. If you're not using the keyboard shortcuts, it is going to be slow and painful. So you can see I'm doing quite a bit of her cheek pretty quick. I for the eyedropper, and B for brush. Every once in a while I'm hitting spacebar to get the hand to pop up so I can kind of like move around. Find a spot that's not painted. I, sample a color, B for brush. And as soon as it looks like the color isn't matching very closely to the reference image, as soon as you kind of get out of that zone of that color, it's okay, just hit I, sample a new color. I, sample a new color, B, brush. I, brush. I for sampling the color, and B is for brush. Right. So that's basically it. I mean, that's like how we start painting, right? But like I said, you're gonna have to get like some of the trickier parts. It's gonna be like the eyes. You zoom in. You probably have to make the size of your brush kind of small, but it's the same technique. Whoops. If you paint, you don't want it there. It's Command Z. I sample the color. B brush. I sample color. B brush. So these eyes have a lot of different colors in them. So this might take a little bit of time to get like these good details, but you know, the eyes, the mouth, the nose are definitely like areas you're probably gonna spend a lot more time painting like this because they are so detailed. But yeah, like once you get the hang of it and you spend a little bit of time, it goes pretty quick. At least the process is, right? And then eventually you like start building up these like layers of color, and you'll be able to like turn off your reference image. This one over here didn't take me too long, probably just like 40 minutes. The hair might be, you know, another 40 minutes or so. But if you end up with like gaps between, don't worry about those. For right now, there's always different ways that you can fill them. You know, one of the ways you can fill them is by making large shapes. Even with like the lasso tool, you can just lasso up this entire shoulder and then pick a color, right, and fill it with the paint bucket tool, which is underneath the gradient. Whoops. Oh, see, I'm actually painting on the reference image when I should be painting on a new layer, right? There we go. So let's do that again. D to deselect, and let's just make a big selection for our neck right here. Hit I for eyedrop, sample the color, and then what the fill is G, right? For filling in large areas. And then, you know, now I have the little gaps filled in. So that's one way that you can start to paint in Photopea.